Hello again. I hope that viewers will forgive me if I simply reflect for a bit on some of what has been said in the comments here over the last few months. Some people have denounced me for a fool, while others have said that they like listening to me because I don't tend to foam at the mouth with fury or rave and shout. Both these matters are connected and perhaps both views are correct. We all of us like to think that the views and opinions which we hold are sensible and wise. We also persuade ourselves that we have only adopted such a way of thinking after careful thought, and that we have the wisdom to realise when our perspective is at fault. I'm not so sure about this, and since I can speak only of my own mind and my own mental processes, this will be a purely personal slant on the business. Among my most cherished and strongly held beliefs, there will almost without doubt be some which are wise and good. There will be others, though, which I hold for poor and insufficient reasons. Perhaps I picked up some idea about science or politics as a child, and it simply stayed with me over the years without my bothering to re-examine it. Or maybe I have a view of politics which was heavily influenced by what my parents taught me. Very often opinions like that have a tendency to fossilise, become rigid and fixed. They form essentially an orthodoxy, a personal orthodoxy. That's to say, instead of looking at them closely over the years and checking that they are still fit for purpose, I just hang on to them because they're too much trouble to change in the light of new evidence. They're old and comfortable and mean I don't have to think too deeply about them anymore. Ideas about religion can be a bit like that too. It's rather like an old, worn and much loved piece of clothing. Take this disreputable old cardigan which I'm wearing. I should throw it away and get a new one. Yet it's really comfortable and I'm so familiar with it. I don't really want to have to get used to a new one. Some of my most strongly held beliefs are like that. Threadbare, worn and urgently in need of replacing. In addition to ideas like that, which I've just acquired casually and hung on to because it's easier than getting rid of them, there are others which used to be very sound and were based on solid foundations at one time, but which new evidence has made untenable. Some of my views are based on what was known in the 1960s and 1970s and were very sensible at that time. Now, new discoveries would render them as obsolete as horse and carts or manual typewriters, but changing them would require me to study physics and genetics or perhaps investigate cutting-edge discoveries in subatomic physics. I scarcely have time for this, so I'll cling on to these outdated points of view and hope for the best. A natural consequence of this is that the views which I express, and I am sure that many people watching this channel have heard enough of them to last a lifetime by now, are a bit of a mixture. Some are indeed accurate and correct, spot on in terms of what is currently known, and backed also by an impressive amount of data, some of which I post here. Others, though, should long ago have been consigned to the scrap heap of history. Then again, some of what I say is a combination of good information and bad. Now, I have no way at all of knowing what the proportion is of good to bad in my own thoughts and ideology. It might be 90% of it is really worthwhile and solid, to 10% dross. On the other hand, and very alarmingly, these proportions might very well be reversed, and only 10% of what I say could be worth paying serious attention to. Let's be fair and assume the actual balance is about 50-50. This would essentially mean that roughly half of what I say here is faulty and misleading, which really makes one think. Now, I can't be objective about this. There's no way that I'm able myself to sort through and classify which of the theories I advance are sound and which are hopelessly wrong. This would be like trying to lift myself up by my own bootstraps. I've gone through this in some detail to account for the fact that I might sound quite diffident sometimes and hesitate to contradict anybody too harshly in the comments here, no matter what they say. The reason is simple. For all I know to the contrary, those who call me an idiot might actually be right. Anyway, I'm off for a long walk today, and so shall be unable to respond to comments for a few hours. It's not that I'm ignoring people, but walking is something of a passion of mine, and I like to indulge it when I'm able. I'll probably not post again today, but we'll be back tomorrow with renewed vigour and more possibly wrong-headed and misguided, but strongly held views on the modern world.